All right, it's time to talk all things drafted. We've got a special guest for today's show. We're single digits away for the 2025 NFL Draft. Boy Green Daily starts now.
I'm going to lose my gosh darn bananas. Boy Green Daily starts now. Zoinks!
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Let's go!
Put your seatbelts on. Get ready for the ride. We're the freaking New York Jets, so we're built for this shit.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? I'm Paul Esden Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your podcast. My co-host today is Hop on Pop. Pop.
Hey now.
And we've got a very special guest joining us. He's a senior writer and draft analyst extraordinaire for The Athletic, baby. It's Nick Baumgardner joining us here on the program. What's up, Nick?
Hey, guys. How we doing?
We're single digits away from the NFL draft, baby. Can you feel the anticipation, Nick?
Oh, yeah. In my line of work, we do this stuff. We start on this class in last July or whatever. So we're ready to go. I'm ready to do it. Ready to do it for sure.
Well, in your latest mock draft, before we get to the actual mock drafting, in your blurb, you had them taking Armand Membu, a very popular pick, offensive lineman out of Missouri. And he said, at least Justin Fields is a bridge quarterback for the Jets.
Yeah.
But there's a chance that he can be the guy. So I ask you, Nick, how big is that chance that Justin Fields can actually, on his third team in 3 years, can be the guy for the Jets?
I tell you, I like the chance because I was around Aaron Glenn here in Detroit. I'm based here in Detroit, and I love that hire. Number one, I actually forgot that he swore in his opening presser like Dan Campbell did. So you're off to a great start there. But I actually like the fit there because AG he's one of the best coaches I've been around in a long time at really being able to connect with people, connect with players. Not every fit is perfect, but I feel like a guy like that is going to be really good for Fields, and I think last year even we saw some growth there. I think when you look back at the context of when he was picked in Chicago, they weren't ready for him. They didn't have enough talent around him. Much different story here today. He's obviously, he's grown up more too, all that good stuff. So I thought this was a really good deal for New York to be able to avoid sort of the pressure of dealing with this quarterback class also. And so I'm optimistic like you guys. I mean, I think that, I liked Fields coming out, but it was one of those things where we knew it was going to take a little bit of time. He has made a lot of plays already in his NFL career. I think people sort of tend to forget that. So I like the fit a lot. And I think that if you, base this draft, kind of like how when Glenn was in Detroit, they took Jared Goff in. People were kind of not sure what he was going to do. And they put all their eggs in his basket and said, you're going to be our guy. And they sort of willed it to work. And I could see something similar happening here.
Well, Nick, your job is hard enough as it is to try to predict what the hell is going to be happening all over the NFL draft. It's even harder when it's a new regime. And I go back to Saleh when all the 49er takeover happened with the Jets. And I tried to talk to as many 49ers people as possible to understand philosophy and what positions. And the first two things they told me is he's never taken a corner in the first round, so don't worry about that. And running backs, they don't take high either. Well, they took Sauce Gardner fourth overall, and Breece Hall was the 35th overall pick. So now I'm like, I see. So coming over there from Detroit Lions land, what the hell is the philosophy on importance of positions? Because we've been trying to crack the code for the last couple of months of what the plan is at 7th overall.
Yeah, I think number one, I don't know if it's necessarily a position thing, though I do like the idea of starting out on the offensive line here, for the Jets and their situation right now based on, I think kind of how they're going to run things offensively. But the bigger point is it's not necessarily going to be about positions. It's going to be about the character of the person or the guy, more or less. Like when they were in Detroit, they didn't take anybody who was, any question about being soft or, a guy that didn't like football or a guy that wasn't physical. Every receiver they took was a guy that blocked. They weren't afraid to take linemen early. They weren't afraid to go and take things out of position, off the value chart. But as long as the guy was somebody that fit with the idea of you're going to give me everything you have on every single snap. And, with Glenn, I mean, the way he coaches, he's a very passionate dude. I mean, he's in there with them like every single minute of it, I think. Right. And so he gives so much to them. I think that, the idea is we're not going to take anybody in here that's going to harm our chemistry, harm our, locker room, that sort of thing. And I think that served them so well in Detroit that I would be pretty surprised if that's not exactly what we see here with his start here in the Jets, obviously with Maury as well. So I think that'll be the thing that drives it. It'll be, the personality, the football character, the toughness, because, we know Aaron Glenn, he's going to want a really tough football team that competes and at every single position, no matter what it is. So I think that'll be the driving force and the driving factor here. Though in terms of positions, I think if you're starting from the ground up, I think it's going to be inside out. So make sure you get the lines taken care of first. Same thing. The defensive line, the Jets still have some guys, so it's not like they're absent of this. But I do think it'll be filling those holes there first and then expanding out.
And one more, and then I'll throw it to my pop here. How important is it to weigh the debate of the needs of now versus the needs of tomorrow? Because, for instance, the Jets have their two guards under contract. They both are talented, and Jet fans love them, and John Simpson and AVT, but they're both entering the last years of their deal. But they have plenty of needs for now. Right tackle, wide receiver, tight end, defensive tackle, safety. Like anyone they draft could immediately plug in. Right. Those two positions in particular, they're covered for 2025. But what about tomorrow? What's the coverage there? So how do you weigh that in the draft? Needs of now versus needs of tomorrow?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think that's where it starts for the Jets, is that you're sort of trying to figure out as best you can, which guys that you can invest in long-term, not worrying so much about, hey, 3 years down the road, whatever it is, but you're making sure that you're taking guys that will address things that are going to come up down the line, and not being afraid to maybe even take another guard in there in that mix and say, hey, maybe we want to keep one of those two, but we can't keep both. So let's try to get younger there if we can at this point. But I really think right now with them, it's going to be something where you're not reaching on a guy that you don't think is the best player at that spot. And I think that'll be what it comes back to, if I had to guess, is that, when they were in Detroit, it was always more or less the best player at every spot. No matter what the position of need was, the highest position of need. I think the first year that they were together, they went into it like receiver was probably their number one need, and they waited all the way to the fourth round, and they got St. Brown, Amon-Ra St. Brown in the fourth round. Right? So they didn't reach, they didn't do anything crazy. They ended up coming out of that draft with Penei Sewell and Aleem McNeil, and away we go. So it was, sometimes they'll, I could see them sort of verting away from the sexier pick or whatever it might be in terms of we need this right now. This is a huge hole right now. Maybe they can sign some guys, bring them in to kind of get that along if they don't like the particular class of whatever that position is. So I think it'll be best player available. I think that's sort of the way to do it in today's world. If it's not just Detroit, you look at the best teams in the NFL, like the Ravens are one of my favorites to point to. They never draft for like a need. It's always like the best guy that's on the board every time. We're taking him, and then we're going to make that fit into what we're doing. And I think that'll be sort of what we see here with the Jets at this point with the new regime in here.
Yeah. Thanks for that, Nick. And now that you've said that, my philosophy is completely different for the Jets. But I would say that they have a lot of needs, as you laid out, like the line, offense and defensive line, and a playmaker. I'll just put it in the playmaker category, whether it's tight end, which is a huge void, or wide receiver. And then, on the fringe of the need is the edge rusher to kind of fill, well, I wouldn't call it a hole that Hassan Reddick left. It was maybe a very small dot. Yeah. But so I would, looking at the talent that might be available, I see, for me personally, this draft is not as talent rich as some have been in the past. And so would be very excited to draft Mason Graham at 7. If he is not available at 7, and I'm tipping off my hat a little bit to what is coming up on Saturday for my mock draft, I would be interested in getting the best deal available, because they need to walk out of this draft, Paul's opinion, 3 starters.
I like that.
And a way to help do that would be to trade back. Yeah. And so who do you think would be the most viable trade part? And I know there's a lot of variables and firing line, but today, who would be the most viable? Mason Graham's on the board. I'm trading back.
I like that idea a lot. And I really think it would be an interesting spot to do it because, with Shedeur, we don't know. I have not been a fan of him with the Giants. I don't like that pick. I don't think that it would work there the way they want it to right away. So I could see Shedeur sliding a little bit, but I don't know how far. And, we talk about the Saints, maybe wanting to do this. So when I look down and I see, some teams that might have to wiggle their way up there, like the one that I look at the most is Pittsburgh. And I know they're a little bit further down the board. They'd have to give up an awful lot to do it. But a team that maybe would want to come up and get him would be one that I would think about, because It doesn't have to be Pittsburgh; it could be somebody else there in the middle. But I think that that's one that's sort of crept up on me lately. Is the Carr situation there in New Orleans? We don't know what they're going to do. They've been kind of quiet about all this. I could definitely see them being interested, in a quarterback. And there's still a lot of people in the league that think Shedeur is going to go in the top 10. So, we don't know how this is all going to work. Minnesota found their way up the board last year to do what they did. Atlanta obviously doubled up. So you never really know what some teams are looking at in terms of quarterbacks, because there's not that many of them anymore that come out that are very good. And while Shedeur has issues, he's still a good player. I think you could also have a market there for, Tet McMillan if somebody wants him, Tyler Warren, we mentioned the tight end situation, or even Colston Loveland. Also, maybe if Ashton Jeanty gets beyond the Raiders and like the Cowboys or somebody want to come up and do that, I do think that that's a sneaky decent trade back. And I agree with you. I'm always team trade back if there's not the best guy on the board that you wanted. Get out of there and see if you can do something later. Because one thing you mentioned, and I totally agree with you, this is not the deepest draft class in terms of overall talent that we've seen, especially at the premium positions. But if you're a team that needs a tight end, go down, because there's a lot of them in this class. You don't need to do it at the top. You can wait and sort of get down. If you can add extra assets on day two, you can really attack some other positions that are, running back is really deep this year. Tight end is really deep this year. A lot of good safeties. And for and there are some decent edges too. I don't want to say that there's not. It'll be there through round 3 with quality of edges. So I think a team like the Jets could, do that. Could trade back, add extra picks, and then maybe try to attack all of those needs by the end of day 2. And like you're saying, if you're getting top 100 picks, those are guys that you're thinking are going to be starters or guys that can come in and conceivably compete for a job. So I think that would be a really smart thing to do, especially if your top guys, like I said, if Graham's not on the board, which I would be kind of surprised if he's still there at 7, and you don't like one of those edges, then try to get out of there. I think that would be, or if you don't want to do the tackle, like we said, if you don't want to do that, then try to get out of there. I think that would be my probably number 2 thing on the wish list if I were the Jets, is to stay on the phone all the way through and then just, make sure that, whatever the deal is. And I'm always a fan too of, doesn't have to exactly be the perfect swap on the value chart. Like if you're trying to get extra picks, get the extra picks. Like it doesn't need to be a perfect trade in terms of the, this for that. If you're trying to get extra picks and extra starters, like I think New York is, that would be a smart thing to do.
Yeah, I really like and hope that Pittsburgh is a trade up, because that would give us the value pick, the compensation would be right there for alignment with getting the solid. So we don't have a lot of this, 7-star talent, but there's a lot of 5 and 6 there
exactly
that can show up to work with their lunch pail and get the job done.
Yeah, and I like the Jets' talent too. I think the Jets have drafted pretty well. So I don't think that they need necessarily a giant overhaul here. I think if they can get, like you're saying, an extra pick, an extra starter in there, it could surprise people how much, better they can be pretty quickly.
Again, we're speaking to Nick Baumgardner, baby, senior writer and draft analyst for The Athletic here on the program for just a few more minutes. Nick, I'm curious, who is the surprise player that could end up being the tops at their position? For example, we all think it's going to be Tyler Warren, but maybe it's Colston Loveland. Or maybe everyone's talking about Ashton Jeanty, and they all said, whoa, Omarion Hampton's the first running back off the board. Who do you think could surprise us by position of being the first guy off that none of us had on the bingo card?
The one that I always go to, you mentioned him already, is Loveland. I definitely think that that's possible that, he slips in there and goes in front of Warren, not because Warren's not a good player, he is, but Loveland's the better pass catcher, and Loveland is more ready to go in terms of if you're going to throw the ball around and split him out. Like he reminds me a lot of Sam Laporta, a taller version of Laporta, or Mark Andrews, a big guy who can move, whereas Warren is more of your Dallas Clark type guy from back in the day with the Colts there. The other position, too, I would talk about is the tackle. We don't know really what's going to go down there. A lot of people have pegged in Will Campbell as OT1. And I've heard from a lot of folks also that say they think that Membo could be the guy. And then there's the other thing where you go beyond those guys and you say, how high could a Josh Simmons go? Like we're talking about, if you move down to the 20s, Simmons was a guy that if he didn't blow his knee out in early October, I think he would have been in conversation for OT1 here. So I think that there's some interesting value as we go down in the shuffling there, with the tackles, where they're all going to fall out. It might still be Campbell at 1, but beyond that, sort of where those guys go off the board after him. So I think receiver would be another one after McMillan. Is it Matthew Golden, Egbuka, somebody lower than that, or do those guys slide down even further? Like I think this is going to be an interesting draft, and it goes back again to the value of trading back. If you're at the back of the first round, you could be getting some deals here because there's not a lot. Will Johnson is a guy, super talented cornerback that I think could slide further than he needs to, right? So I think that if you play the board, there could be some teams reaching for some needs. There could be some surprises that, who goes after Abdul Carter at the edge spot? Who goes, is it Mike Green or is it Shamar Stewart, Mykel Williams? Are those guys falling into the 20s? We don't know. So I think that if you're a team that waits and is patient in this draft, you could end up getting some pretty good players here.
Nick, in your latest mock draft, you had Alabama quarterback Jalen Milroe falling to the Jets at 42 overall. He gets invited to the draft. He accepts the invite. That's created a little bit of buzz. So I tell you this, Nick, what are the chances that Jalen Milroe is even on the board for the Jets to consider at pick 42 overall?
Yeah, we don't know. I mean, we don't know that one. And I think that that's the same conversation for a guy like Jackson Dart or even Tyler Shuck, because, as these quarterbacks, it's not a bad quarterback class. It's just not an elite one. And they're not all super ready to go. And I think I love the fit with Milroe and the Jets. I think if they could get a developmental guy like that to get behind Fields and sort of wait and see how things go, I think that could be a great fit. And Milroe is so athletic and so talented. And he is the one guy that I think, people talked a lot about Jackson Dart early in the process in the media. But I think as far as NFL teams go, Milroe is the guy that fascinates them the most, I feel like, in that bucket, because he is a legit sub 4.40 guy. I mean, he is extremely explosive in open space. I think that you would have to wait on him to be able to play quarterback for probably a year. But I do think you could put Milroe into your run package and use him right away, right out of the chute. And he could be a weapon for you on offense. And if you're creative enough and unique enough, with what you're doing. So he's a guy that, you might have to go back up into the first, with that whole group there. It's been something that I've thought about. Like, could we see 3 quarterbacks go in the first round with a couple at the bottom? Could we see 4? Could we see, 2 teams trade up and try to do it? You've got a bunch of them there. Like if Cleveland doesn't take a quarterback, if the Giants would take a quarterback, they could be looking to come back up and do something there. If the Saints don't do it, so I think there's still a couple teams that are sort of playing their cards pretty close. All of them have this entire year, because this quarterback class is a little bit, but then also they all need to do something, and we all know it. So they've all been trying to play the cards close to the vest. I also wouldn't, everybody's pointed to Cam Ward going number 1 to the Titans. And I think that seems like what we're going to see here. But if they could finagle a trade, I think they would maybe be interested in that as well, right? So the quarterback market's going to be really interesting to see where those guys all go,
Yeah, this is a Jet Show, not a Giant Show, but I read that in a recent mailbag. You guys were answering it. If I'm the Titans, the Giants are desperately trying to get up. We flop, we get a haul, whatever that is. Then, okay, give me Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter, and I go about my day.
I love that. That's a sneaky good idea that I would like. I would be I said this the other day with something. If I'm the Titans, I'd be on the phone until the last possible second, being like, anybody, like let's have a conversation. The Giants, you want Cam Ward? Let's do this. And we've seen stranger things, so that wouldn't surprise me. The quarterbacks, it's not going to be like last year, but they always drive the bus one way or the other. So I guess we'll see where they all end up.
And Nick, the last nugget here is just this on you. So maybe you obviously feel this way, but just to clarify it, the Jets have a new regime here. Aaron Glenn, head coach, first time. Darren Mucci, general manager, first time. Does that make them more or less likely to take a quarterback? Because obviously we're in the honeymoon period. They're not getting fired if that doesn't work out. So they could kind of get their own guys, so to speak, to develop. You obviously had it in your mock draft with Jalen Milroe. What do you think about where they're at and whether or not to take a quarterback based on what you know about this quarterback class this year, whether or not you'd advocate for them to take one at some point?
I don't think that I would force it if I were them. I think if somebody's there on the board for you that you like, then you do it, because I do think that there's value in developing your backup position, especially when you got a guy who sort of does need to be pushed sometimes. And I think it would be good and healthy for Fields to have somebody behind him like that. It is a prove-it deal for him. We all know that sort of thing, but I wouldn't force it. And I think that that's the thing I always go back to. I was here when the Lions started from the ground up, and Fields was on the board for them at number 8, I think it was. And they passed, and they took Penei Sewell, and it was the best thing they've ever done. Making sure that you're getting stable at other spots that are sometimes just as important, or you're not going to be able to do anything at quarterback until this is taken care of or fixed, is so much more valuable to me. So if I'm the Jets, that's something that I'm not forcing here. I'm not going to do that, because I also want to make sure that I show faith in Fields, because I think they should. If a guy falls to them in the right spot, then yes, absolutely, I think you should address that. But I wouldn't be forcing it, and that's why I've had people ask me about the Jets in the first round of the quarterback, and I've always been kind of like, no, I would not do that. I think there's too much talent up there still that they could use, and they could help, turn the whole thing around. And like I said earlier, the Jets have drafted pretty well. It has not been that bad. They've had other problems, right, that have led us to this point, but there is young talent on this team, and I think that those guys know that. I think that's part of the reason why AG wanted that job, not only because he played there, but there is ability here. It's not doesn't have to be a complete teardown to the studs. They can handle this draft correctly, get Fields motivated, go into next year, maybe surprise people, and then you go back at it again in a year, and suddenly it looks a lot different when you're coming into the draft in terms of, what you need and all that good stuff. So I like where they're at. I think they got a really good opportunity here to kind of capitalize on the momentum they've had this offseason with the new breath of fresh air and all that good stuff. So you bring some quality dudes in here, and I think it could surprise some people how quickly the Jets could get back in here.
Well, Nick, thank you so much for joining us on the program from The Athletic. Stock up, spiky hair up, all of it's
yes,
up, baby.
Sir.
Thank you for taking the time to join us here on the program.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
All right, there he is, Nick Baumgardner, joining us here on Boy Green Daily. Make sure you guys support all of his work. We got nearly 300 people in the room. Sorry, folks, we were taking more questions and things of that nature, but Nick Baumgardner was on limited time from that perspective. So we that was live, but we appreciate that as well. Pop, I'll just say this again: this is a Jet show, not a Giant show. But I don't buy any of the. I did see. I don't know if you saw this report yesterday. Shedeur Sanders is doing one more private workout just for the New York Giants ahead of the draft this week. And to me, it must just be a massive smokescreen. You have Russell Wilson, you have Jameis Winston. Your regime is fighting for their lives. I don't see them taking a third-string quarterback, regardless of what you think of Shedeur. So I think all that is just smokescreen. I think Shedeur is in for a slide. How far is it? Just to the Saints at 9, or a trade up, as we talked about earlier this week, from 9 to 7? We'll see. But yeah, I don't see the Giants taking a quarterback at 3rd overall.
Yeah, I think Shedeur is in. He better buckle up in the green room because he's in for a free fall. I'm going. It's going to be not before mid-20s.
Come on, the Saints at 9. They're definitely.
I don't see it happening.
All right, we'll see.
I really like Rattler.
I'm glad somebody does. Pop, any other takeaways you had from that Nick Baumgardner conversation? Again, an interesting guy because obviously he's a national draft analyst, and obviously his roots in Detroit. He does a Detroit podcast. He's based there in Michigan, so he's got a very intimate relationship with Aaron Glenn and a lot of these Lions philosophies that we're sort of taking over here at One Jets Drive.
Yeah, you're in his discussion in the quarterback position. I don't see the need for the Jets to draft a quarterback until the 4th or 5th rounds. The house is full currently. You got to bring one in. I'm semi with your strategy. Maybe not every year, but you have to always be looking at the best available quarterback and how it fits in your pieces. Where are you at in the transition of your quarterback room? And we can't go without notice that Tyrod Taylor's contract is up after this year. So you have to have some viable plan for QB2 going forward. Now, that's not a big a need as some of the other ones the Jets have, which was why I have it down the 4th or 5th rounds.
Which makes a lot of sense, certainly for going in that direction. Let me make sure we pop this up. We had a member super chat shout out here from our boy Bubba Badshaw here on the program. Every time we get that, we hear from my daughters or Luna. Wow. 9 months, baby, ready for the draft party, April 24th. Only 9 days away, so let's go. Badshaw member for 9 months here on the channel. And Pop, we might as well promote it because today is the last day of business here for our giveaway. Throw it up here on the big board here. It's the official Jets 2025 draft hat, the official Jets 2025 draft shirt, and the movie Draft Day. Folks, if you want a chance to win all of these prizes on your screen, today is the last day to submit your raffle tickets. We're obviously live right now, Boy Green Daily, April 15th, Tuesday morning. I'll be back live at 3 o'clock for Boy Green Meets Woody. We'll be talking about all the prospects that have visited with the Jets this offseason. We'll reveal some of the more intriguing ones. You want to send in raffle tickets right now, and then they're only $2.99 a piece. As my father said, the combination of these prizes on the screen are right around $100 in total value. And again, your raffle ticket's only $2.99. You can join the Boy Green Coffee Club in the YouTube description down below. That will get you a raffle ticket, plus all the perks of being a Boy Green Coffee Club member. You guys can submit super chats if you prefer. And like I've also said, PayPal and Venmo is also available at BoyGreen25, BOY, green the color 25. The raffle tickets are good through today, and then tomorrow morning on the show, we will be revealing who won all of these prizes and immediately sending it over to you. So, folks, make sure you take full advantage of that here on the show, Dad. That's perhaps one of the best deals.
That's right, one of the best deals. And Bad Shaw, thank you for not calling in the darkness wearing those shirts. We appreciate that.
Yeah, there you go. Hey, look, J-Boy jumping in the mix with a membership gifting. Let's hit the chimes. Okay, beautiful. Let's who's that new member, Pop?
Galatron 76.
Galatron's back. It's been a while since we've had a Galatron back here on these airwaves, so appreciate it. Thank you to J-Boy for submitting that raffle ticket here on the program. J-Boy's now up to 69 raffle tickets so far this month, so appreciate it. J-Boy, thank you so much, Bound. We'll update the banner here in just a moment. All right, anything else from that conversation, Pop, before we move on in any realm that stood out there from Nick Baumgardner?
No, I think that's really it. It's going to be it's exciting time to be a Jets fan. Where are they going to go? And I think the Jets are in an enviable position that they can zigzag whatever and walk away from the draft with, like, my goal, 3 day-to-day, day-in, day-out lunch pail starters.
All right, let's go to Jason Jets here. We have a question coming in here. Question: if the Jets trade back with the Saints, who does Carolina take at 8? Membu still be there at 9 unless Pat take him at 4. So a lot to unpack here. For me, I think a very reasonable scenario that could happen now that Derek Carr has sustained a shoulder injury that could keep him out for the entirety of the 2025 season. There's some mystery around that, but appears very serious. You trade back with the Saints, you sit at 9. You drop from 7 to 9. The Saints have a second-round pick. That would probably be rich, but maybe with the competition of a quarterback thing, that could be a move-up scenario. The Saints also have 2 third-round selections, so maybe you could kind of twist them and make them jump. The reason, so one reason is you take advantage of a desperate team. Number one, Saints desperate at quarterback is my perception of it. Number two, you think you know where Carolina is going. Boy, do they need an edge rusher in the worst of ways. So that could be Mike Green. That could be Jalen Walker. That could be my boy Donovan Ezeraku if we're going to get a surprise at the top. Michael Williams, perhaps. I think it's going to be a defender. And while the Jets could swim in those waters, that seems less likely. So you move from 7 to 9, and you're mostly guaranteed, to get one of the players you're already considering. Again, we've mentioned Armand Membu, Will Campbell, Tet McMillan, Tyler Warren, Colston Loveland, whoever you could be swimming with in those waters. So, right, the fear with the Pats is I believe the draft is going to go Cam Ward, number 1 overall. 2 and 3 in some combination will be Abdul Carter, the pass rusher out of Penn State, Travis Hunter, the two-way man, wide receiver and corner, and then Patriots are there at 4. And I think they could take the best offensive lineman, which again could be Will Campbell or Armand Membu, or they flip and just take what they believe is the best blue chip player on the board. And to me, that's either going to be Jalen Walker out of Georgia or Mason Graham out of Michigan. My dad's guy who wants him there for the Jets at 7. And that's where sort of the rest of the draft kind of shakes, and then we see what happens. So that's why that trade would be intriguing to me from that perspective. But I can only imagine my dad's face if the Jets take Shedeur Sanders with the 7th overall pick. That would be a doozy. Huh, Pop?
No.
Okay.
No. That'd be a swing and a miss.
Okay.
That would make no sense.
Okay. That's what
a waste of a pick.
Wow. Okay. We have 300 people in the room. Make sure you guys like the video, hit subscribe. Pop, the other thing I was going to get to, Nick Baumgardner brought this up on ABT. Elijah Vera Tucker. He's entering the last year of his deal. $15.3 million fully guaranteed for the 2025 season. He called them. They did on top of draft. They talked about free agency. They looked ahead to 2026. Nick Baumgardner said ABT is the most intriguing guy that is set to be a free agent next year of any list. It didn't have to be a Jets player. He just happened to mention a Jets player. So I'm sort of intrigued because, again, what do you do with ABT? Do you pay him now? Do you wait? And then do you pay John Simpson or ABT? Can you pay them both? There's a lot of those conversations, which, again, could be a sneaky. We talked about the needs of today versus the needs of tomorrow. That could come into play because the Jets don't need a starting guard right now, but boy, they could use one tomorrow. So just another part of that conversation.
Yeah. Hep, I thought we were friends. All right. So
Cowboys take Sanders even better, Hep says. By the way, Hep, a new member to the Boy Green Coffee Club as of yesterday. So,
and by the way, Hep said if he can figure it out, how to become a member of the coffee club, then you can figure it out.
Damn straight. Again, we are going to put that on the t-shirts, baby. Down in the YouTube description down below, so you join the Boy Green Coffee Club. You hear us talk about it all the time. It is the name that, quite frankly, the fans came up with themselves. They called themselves the Boy Green Coffee Club. It's community. It's really cool. It's $2.99 a month. You get a loyalty badge by your name. I'm seeing it with Hep and Vern and so many others, Alan, that are in our comment section. So you stand out from the group. You also help support. That helps me do all these shows and bring on guests and do all this other stuff and invest the time necessary to be able to do all of these things. And you get access to the Discord channel. So to me, the best value that we have is 100% is making sure that we're able to support the show, and Boy Green Coffee Club for only $2.99 a month is the best deal around, I believe, with everything that you get out of it. I appreciate all the super chats and other things coming in now.
Yeah, the access to Discord by itself.
Sure.
To see inside the mind of people like Badshaw.
Oh, yeah.
It's frightening.
Yeah, and speaking of Badshaw, there's some karaoke videos in there of him at a bar doing some singing. So, yeah, there some weird stuff happens at Discord. Yeah.
There's some pictures that Woody's mom does not want to be on Discord, but they are there.
Wow.
Of him at the Jets game doing some dancing.
Yeah. Whatever this
gyrating.
I'm not sure what this one
a lot
is.
of this move.
There was some of that. That's on a YouTube short on our YouTube. You can see a little bit of that, but a lot more coming up there in Discord. Again, speaking of Woody, we'll have a Boy Green Beach Woody coming up at 3:00 in a few hours later today. All right, Pop, do you just
my two sons?
And there you go. Pop, do you want us to open up the phone lines?
Why not?
Okay.
Why not?
Here we go. So we're going to open up the phone lines next here on the program, and you'll have an opportunity to call in. That's youtube.com/BoyGreen25 right here on the show. Quick Hep timeout. More coming up here on Boy Green Daily.
Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. Talking Jets football, man. Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily, Boy Green Daily. New York Jets Football Club. Offense, defense, special teams, watch Jets football with Boy Green. J-E-T-S, Jets. Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Shout out to Hep for giving us the song, as always, here on the program. We appreciate you, pal. Thank you to Hep. The phone lines are now open. I just got up the link. Beautiful. It is pinned to the top of our YouTube channel. That is youtube.com/BoyGreen25. If you'd like to call into the program, feel free to do so. We'll be on until the French toast /egg /sausage light is on in about 30-ish minutes, folks. So we'll take as many callers and questions as we can from the chat. And here we go. Let's go. It looks like we got Neil to kick us off here on the program. What's up, Neil? Okay, I guess not. I guess he's frozen. Let's go to the next caller. We'll try that again. Hep here on the program. What's up, Hep?
Hey guys, you know what I did? I can't claim total responsibility. My wife helped me get it together with it.
That's okay. Look,
yeah.
And Hep, what a stand-up guy. He could have just taken all the credit. Said, you know what? I just cracked the Da Vinci Code here. But shout out to Mama Hep, baby.
But we did, and I just put it on the credit card, and it'll just renew itself every month, so it's so much easier.
Hey, beautiful. Thank you so much, Hep. Appreciate the support, brother.
Yeah, I mean, what are we talking about? $3 or something like that?
That's it. Yeah.
Oh, come on, I mean, I waste more than that on, whatever,
Appreciate it.
That's a half a cup of coffee.
Yeah, there you go.
Exactly. Half a cup of coffee, exactly. But anyway, I forgot what I was going to say, but that's basically what I was going to say. Nothing much else. Oh, the Discord. I have to figure out how to do the Discord.
That's the new thing that's next. So you'll see it. So Jared B, every time a new membership gets gifted, so someone feel free to gift a membership, because Jared B, our moderator, he drops the invite link. And if you're a member to the YouTube Boy Green Coffee Club, you then get access to the Discord. So when you see Jared B post that little Discord link, just click that, and then it should walk you through the process. And then I'll also be able to help once you sort of get through that initial phase. I should be able to sort of help you get through everything you need to do.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. And then my son is looking forward to coming too on the football game that's coming up.
Oh, that'll be awesome. I can't wait.
Awesome. Yeah. It's going to be great. All right, guys. Peace out.
Thanks for the call, Hep. And just real quick on that, I just can't wait to meet a lot of you in person. I've never met Hep or Badshaw or some of these other people that are in our community. We met a few of them last year when me and Nick Shine combined forces and did last year's game, but I'm ready to do it even bigger and better than ever. It's going to be awesome. So again, the schedule comes out from what I've heard, an NFL schedule insider. It looks like it's going to be that second week of May is what the NFL is targeting, which again is the normal sort of range. So at that point, obviously, the full schedule will be out. We'll see all the games. And speaking of people on Discord, you guys get first dibs. So to kind of make your case, state your case, so to speak, on which game you prefer. Because I'm going to pick 3 or 4. Me and my pop are going to go over, hey, here are the 3 or 4 most interesting that work timing-wise, this, that, or the other. And we're going to kind of put it to a vote. And let's see, because our plan is to do one of these Jets games together where we all sit together. I've been talking to the Jets about a group ticket pricing potential option, and all of our powers sort of coming together for a big Boy Green tailgate. Chef Kevin Gilbert has offered to cater, which I'm going to work on with him on the side to work out menu pricing and all that jazz to make it affordable for everybody and see what we can do. So long story short, super excited. Make sure you guys stay tuned. As soon as the schedule comes out, we'll be doing a lot of that action here on the program. Okay, it looks like we got another membership from J-Boy, baby, here on the channel. There's only one thing to do, Pop. We're going to play those chimes. All right, who do we got, Pop?
And that is Bino, B-I-N-O, and Bino is your name up.
All right, there you go. That is 70. We've reached the 70 raffle ticket number for our guy, J-Boy, who is leading the pack, baby. Way to kick some Patuki. Let's make it rain, baby. Today is the last day to submit these raffle tickets. And if we start getting raffle tickets raining around, I'll even jump in and contribute some raffle tickets as well. So let's keep this party going. If you guys want to submit those raffle tickets, like I said, if we start getting them raining all over the place, and I'll be like, all right, maybe I'll be gifting a few of these memberships out as well. So we'll see what happens. So go ahead. I did tell J-Boy to send that one, and he sure did. So by the way, Jared B will be dropping that Discord link. Hep, make sure you click that after Jared B drops that. He drops that every time a new member is added to the rotation with the Coffee Club. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, no, he's dropped it a few times. Yeah. And if Boy Green is willing to pony up some memberships, then because he can make Abe on the penny squeal.
Again, I am selective, not cheap. Selective, not cheap.
By the way, when I come visit, will I be able to do a load of laundry at your house?
That is a no-go.
No. And if I did do laundry at your house, would I have a dresser to put the clothes in?
Here we go.
All right.
By the way, here it is. For anyone that's a new member to the Boy Green Coffee Club, or by the way, a current member of the Boy Green Coffee Club, and you haven't had access to the Discord channel, here is the link. It's right here. Just find Jared B in the comment section on YouTube. You could be a Boy Green Coffee Club member right now and not taking advantage of the Discord. Make sure you click this link, and it'll bring you through the whole process. This is a special invite link to the Boy Green Coffee Club Discord. Again, this is where the conversation expands well beyond the show, not just the comment section of these live videos or after the fact. I do check the comments after the fact of the videos and try to respond to as many as possible. So take full advantage. This is part of your Boy Green Coffee Club membership, baby. Yes.
That's where the high stakes match, the gambling was going on between me and Jared B around some much coveted popcorn.
Yes, that's right. I see FL Phil 98 is saying there's a lot of Florida people here. Just saying, I'm up here in New York with a bunch of kids, so hopefully eventually I can make a Florida trip perhaps in the future. This one will be a Jets home game for those that are curious. That'll be circled on the bandwagon. If it's a raving success, maybe we can take it on the road, but this one for sure will be a Jets home game, so hopefully that works out for a lot of you. I'd love to meet as many of you guys as possible. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. I think we got Neil back here. Let's try it again. Neil.
What's up, guys?
Hey, what's going on, Neil?
Not much. Just waiting on this draft. I don't put myself in this category where I know much about the draft.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody knows about the draft. I love when all these guys get on and they talk about, this guy's going to be the best. This guy's going to be the best. It's basically, craps. You just take a dice roll out and start hitting against the wall and seeing what's what. You know, I mean, is that pretty much what you guys see? I mean, there's no guarantee here that any of these guys are going to work out, right?
Well, I just wrote the piece before the show because for those who don't know, Joe Douglas is going to be on Fox Sports Radio breaking down every pick for the Jets, and I wrote a story about it. And just said, let me go back to Joe Douglas's first draft class, 2020, and so he drafted 9 guys in 2020. 5 of them are out of the league. They're not even playing in the NFL anymore. None of them are on the team anymore. Right. I mean, it's just a disaster. So really, my bar isn't necessarily 2022 hitting home runs. For me, it's can we just get some starters? My pop said it earlier. He wants to find some of these starters. That's what I'm looking for. Not these home runs. I'm looking for starters that have upside.
By the way, Neil is holding 2 Boy Green coffee cup memberships in his hands.
Oh, is that right?
He can hold that up with his extra large cup of coffee.
There you go. That's it. Yeah, very nice. What's that, grande? I don't know.
That's an extra large Dunkin' Donuts.
Oh, there you go. Hey.
Anyhow, look, I have a take here on the draft. Here's my thought. I was all for Membu. I'm all for the tight end. Wonderful. Okay. Let's just say, and nobody likes Shedeur Sanders. I know you don't like him, Pop, because he's mercurial like Aaron Rodgers. You don't like guys like that. You like soldiers that go to the beat of a drum. Yeah, I know your attitude, but the reality is, we need a franchise quarterback. Okay, that's the bottom line. Justin Fields is not a franchise quarterback. We could all hope that he might become a franchise quarterback, and I'm as hopeful as any Jet fan there is. Otherwise, I wouldn't be rooting for this godforsaken shit team for 56 years, okay? And not missing a goddamn snap, all right? That's my fandom. With that being said, if we take Shedeur Sanders at 7, I'm not going to be pissed off because the reality is we're going to be 7 games into the season, and more likely than not, again, I'm a hopeful guy, but more likely than not, looking at Justin Fields' last 5 years as a barometer, chances are he's going to be a 55% completion percentage guy. He's going to run out of the pocket. He's going to make some plays, but then he's going to turn the ball over, and he's going to be a, 22 to 28 quarterback. What is Shedeur Sanders? Do we know what Shedeur Sanders is? Do we know that he might not be able to be a franchise quarterback for a team? I will say this to you. He's got pedigree with his dad, number one. Number 2, the guy threw for what? 75% completion percentage.
Yeah, 74% completion percentage. Led college football last year. Yeah.
What was it?
74%.
Okay, and if I'm not, and I don't watch college football, but I did hear his offensive line was pretty shitty, wasn't it?
His entire career it's been shitty. Yes.
Okay. Well, look, if a guy had an offensive line that was a brick wall, and most of these quarterbacks in college, they're throwing to wide open, great receivers that are 10 yards by the defenders, and they're sitting back there having coffee and cake looking for guys down the field, playing 11 on 11. So the reality is this guy's been under pressure his whole college career. He's a winner. He throws for 75%, and he doesn't turn the ball over. Okay? You know what? I'll take a flyer on that because guess what? What the hell do we have in 2026? Pops, who we have there? I don't know who's going to be in 2026.
His last name is Manning.
Who?
His last name is Manning. Maybe the most sought after quarterback prospect in the past decade. That's the only one.
And he's not going to be a Jet, Pop. He's not going to be a Jet. Archie Manning. Do you remember what happened with Peyton Manning? His father made him stay another year in college. And this kid's what? A sophomore? He could stay another year in college. He doesn't have to come out next year. So past him, who else? Nobody's like sticking out next year that's going to be that much better than Shedeur Sanders. I mean, Mel Kiper has him Boy Green, top 25?
Yeah, 100%. He might even.
He has some guys have him better than the number 1 guy, don't they?
Yeah, him being in the top 25 speaks more to the talent in this draft class than it does to his talent.
I get it. But you know what? We don't know what the talent is in each draft class. Sometimes we think they're great and they end up being shit. Okay? The kid, he looks like the kid from the Commanders. Nobody had Jalen Daniels taking a team to the championship year 1. What was he the top pick last year? I don't remember. I'm not a
Caleb was number 1. Jay Daniels was number 2.
Caleb Williams. He looks real great. Okay. All right. What about the year before? Who was the number one the year before?
So let's see. What did we have?
The Carolina Panthers quarterback?
Oh, yeah, that's right. Bryce Young. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That guy.
I would tell you, go back and look at the stats between Caleb and Jaden, and they were almost identical.
Right.
One was just on a better team.
Well, let me say this to you, Pop. When you have Deion Sanders as your coach, your father, who's a Hall of Famer, and I get it, he's a bloviating, bumbling banana. But I'm going to tell you, Deion Sanders may be our coach next year if we win 2-3 games with Aaron Glenn. Don't be surprised if Deion Sanders is following Aaron Glenn onto the Jets, coaching his son again. And if they do win 2 or 3 games, I would welcome that. Because guess what? Aaron Glenn's coming in here. We're going to win now. We're going to win now. Well, you better goddamn win, because I'm looking for a playoff for the last 15 years and I haven't gotten one. If I don't get one this year, I'm going to be pissed off. I got rid of my goddamn season tickets here. I'm done. They called me up. Are you ready to renew, sir? I said, no, my back's full of goddamn scars. And the only way I'm renewing is you put me on the bench with a clipboard. Then I'll renew my season tickets. Okay? That's what I said to the Jets. Okay? So that being said, I think and Alan hates him so bad. I see Alan on the chat. Oh, I'm done if we get Shedeur Sanders. So everybody in the chat, you better hope we get Shedeur Sanders, because Alan might leave the chat for life. Or maybe he'll go pay attention to some other sport like women's hockey or something. But bottom line is, you can't argue it. You got to say 2026, and even if we get the best quarterback, Pop, in 2026, right? He's still got to take another year to develop, maybe 2 years. Then where are we at 2028? I'm running out of goddamn years.
And by the way, Neil, you got some love. We got Jake Asman. He's coming up here on the chat.
My coffee is kicked in. But I'm going to tell you something. I said to myself, everybody hates this Shedeur Sanders. Everybody hates Shedeur. Look, we got to do the opposite. We got to be like Costanza. Let's do the opposite. Let's blow it all up. Take Shedeur Sanders. Wow. Take some guys out of it, and let's go. Take a shot. Because I'll tell you something right now. Game 7, right? We're all in the stands. Okay, we're 3-4. We're getting blown out. Fields throws a pick. I just see it in my mind's eye, and everybody's yelling. What are we going to get excited about? Our backup now? We're going to get excited to bring them in and maybe win a game or two. Then where the frig are we next year? The same bullshit we're at this year. At least if we got Shedeur Sanders, we could get a little excited. We know he's going to complete passes. He has a 75% completion percentage. He's going to come in and he's going to generate some oomph. Maybe he ends up winning the last
your head this morning,
games, and we have our franchise quarterback. I'm done.
You are done. No soup for you. See you later.
All right. Thank you to Jake Asman, by the way, for the $1.99 super chat. By the way, Jake, you're only $1 away from a raffle ticket, and today is your last day to submit your raffle tickets, Jake, for our draft day spectacular. Early morning, Neil. Appreciate that, Jake. Thanks for getting that super chat involved in the comment section. Good to see Jake. By the way, Jake's going to be doing his own draft spectacular coming up. He's hosting a live event. So salute to Jake, and thank you, as always, for the support on the channel. So, yeah, Neil makes some compelling points.
No, he does not.
Shedeur Sanders completing a bunch of passes. He's been around the spotlight, so he wouldn't be fazed by the New York media. And, man, he's a tough son of a gun. The offensive lines have sucked everywhere, and he's always buckled his chin strap and gotten back up. Lack of turnovers. He does not turn over the ball very often. Come on now. Let's go to another super chat coming in here. This is from DNY for Life, a.k.a. Devin, here on the show. Wow. Thank you so much for the $5 super chat here, Devin. We really appreciate it, buddy. Thank you for sending those in. Again, today is your last day for raffle tickets, at least for our big contest where you're winning a massive prize. We'll explain more of that coming up in just a little bit. So we appreciate that as well here on the show. So what did he have to say, Dad? What did Devin say here?
He said Neil gave up his season tickets and we make the playoffs would be hilarious. If that happens, Neil can never have season tickets again. No soup for Neil. LOL. He didn't say the no soup for Neil, but
I see.
I thought it was appropriate.
Yeah, sure. With all of our Seinfeld references, I really appreciate that. By the way, Devin, aka DNY for life, you have 16 raffle tickets. You're $1 away from another raffle ticket. You're in third place in our contest, so appreciate that coming through. Yeah, it would be sort of poetic or in a crazy way that if Neil gave up his season tickets because he's like, where are we going? And we end up making the playoffs. That would be crazy. But I will just tell you this, as crazy as it seems on the surface, right? Because the Jets won 5 games last year. Okay, there's 32 teams in the NFL. There's 16 on each side. 7 of the 16 make the playoffs every year, and there's a constant turnover. Now, this stat's been warped, obviously, by more teams being able to make the playoffs on each side. But since 1990, there had been at least 4 new playoff teams all over the place on a year-to-year basis. So there's constant turnover. You could go from worst to first. It's not the craziest thing in the world.
Playoffs?
Oh, boy. Here
Are you
go.
talking playoffs?
Well, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with talking a little playoffs and adding a little bit of positivity here on the program.
Playoffs? Are you talking about the playoffs?
Sure I am, Jim Moore Sr. / my grandpa. I'm talking playoffs, so it could totally happen, baby. But man, that Devin says if that happens, Neil can never have season tickets again. Oof, it's a harsh punishment.
I think Neil's going to get the tip cut off.
Okay, wow, that would be painful if that were to happen here. There's no question about it. And I got to get a better figure out a way to get to
We're
these.
only going to cut off the tip.
And the scissors thing is normally Woody's thing in terms of prop, but, you know, there you go. There you go for Neil. So, Neil, passionate, as always. You got to respect that. You got to respect that. All right, let's see. Oh, there's another super chat coming through. Pop, thank you for that. Let me make sure I get that up. Ah, yes, Jake Asman's back. Let's flip this YouTube super chat here for our boy, Jake Asman, the legend. Wow. All right, Jake officially has a raffle ticket for our contest, so let's throw that up on the big board. Shout out to Jake here. Appreciate you, pal. Thank you very much. And here is the super chat message. Big draft party next Thursday at Clinton Hall, New York City. Folks, you could do the double dip. For instance, Indy Jets is heading to Jake Asman's party, and then he's going to call in from there when nothing's going on, not to conflict with anything Jake has going on, and call in and show me the atmosphere of all the Asmaniacs down there. So, folks, feel free to go down there, call in. I love all the cross-pollination, giving some shout-outs. Jake's hosting it. Jake was at the live Badlands show last week. He's all over the place, for goodness sake. So appreciate it, Jake, and great support for what you got cooking. That's awesome.
He gets around.
That is one way to put it. He is an ass man. There's no doubt about it. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got Johnny Boy.
Speaking of ass men.
Oh.
Hey, always, man. That happens, and then you get one of these.
Oh wow.
Hey, now.
I think that's a good one.
Hey.
Oh, hello. Who do we have there, Johnny?
That's Gio. That's Giovanni.
Hey, Giovanni. What's going on, pal?
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. I see.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Sure,
That's aggressive. Okay.
So question, right?
Yeah.
So I see what Neil is saying in regards to the Sanders, but I can't agree with it because I just can't. Like, it's not. I would be happy with us not having a quarterback or drafting a quarterback within this draft itself. There's other positions of need that I think that we need and should address now before we. And plus, we have no idea what Justin Fields is going to be itself. We're going off of him being with the Chicago Bears, where they were almost like dead last in an offensive line that he had. If we're talking about a quarterback that was running for his life, you have that in Justin Fields right now. And he did the best that he could, whatever he had in Chicago. And then you have the whole Pittsburgh stuff. So I want to see what the kid has. Give him a chance because we're already writing the dude off. We're already giving him nothing in regards to potentially being a quarterback for us. All last year with the number 8, because I don't even want to say the dude's name anymore, we were never asking for a Hall of Fame quarterback play. We were never asking for that. We just wanted average quarterback play, which he did give. How could we not have that with Justin Fields? himself. He has the talent there, and let's see for what it is. I mean, Brees Hall is going to be there. I don't think they're going to trade him, but I mean, if somebody tells me, hey, I'm going to give you a second or third for him, I'm jumping on that itself. You still got Garrett Wilson. The line looks like it's going to be bolstered up. Hopefully the defense could be the defense of old and kind of go from there. Like the guy, we haven't had a dual threat quarterback in forever, right? So he brings that. Now I do have to say with your guest, the Jalen, I think it's Jalen, right? Jalen Milroe.
Yeah.
It's intriguing. And when he talked about by the usage of him, right? Getting him later on, because I would be pissed if we get him at 7. I probably won't watch anything for a while. But using him kind of like how the Saints used Hill.
Yeah.
Having a package like that, I was like, wow, you know what? I could kind of see that in the sense. So I wanted to get your thoughts in regards to that as well. So appreciate you guys, man. Later,
Thanks,
Pop.
Johnny. And shout out to Gio there. That's awesome.
Giovanni.
Yeah, there you go. A lot of things to unpack there. The one thing, just to wrap up the Shedeur Sanders part of the conversation, I have 2 concerns about Shedeur if the Jets draft him, no matter where they draft him. Number one, is the arm strength big enough or strong enough in the Northeast weather we're going to have? That would be one concern for me. Now, again, at the pro day, he sent it like a 50, 60-yard rocket launcher down the field. So maybe the arm strength's good enough. We just haven't seen it consistently at Colorado. Maybe that's it. And the other thing is that is there with Shedeur is draft analysts say he has no singular elite trait, right? Like Jalen Milroe, we don't know what he is entirely as a quarterback, but he's an elite runner. So you could sort of build from that foundation. There doesn't appear to be that elite foundation with anything that Shedeur does. I really like his processing and his ability to just like play quarterback and get from point A to point B. But again, there's some other concerns whether or not he would succeed. Again, we'll have more of that conversation if in 9 days they make that selection, I suppose, in the first round. So we'll see what happens there. But what did you make, Pop? It seems like he shares some of your perspective on the draft.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hatred for Shedeur Sanders. He has played against substandard talent. His gaps is he holds the ball too long. Even with a bad offensive line, he holds the ball too long. His mechanics of his throw are not there. Those are things that are very difficult to overcome, that mindset. And he's the dink and dunk champion. Speaking of Dunkin' Donuts with Neil, he's a dink and dunk champion. Congratulations.
Yeah, 28% of his 74% completion percentages on screens and dump offs. That's true.
I think we need to stop talking about how Justin Fields is going to be or not be and start bringing in people to help him succeed. So the Chicago Bears have been a shit show forever. You go back, their quarterback history is not a rich lineage, if you will. So they need to bring in, you know what the salary cap is for special assistants or quarterback coaches? You know what the salary cap is for that? Oh, there isn't one.
No, there's not.
So they need to go and get a coach that can help them develop, someone that's been successful with a Justin Fields type quarterback. And this is not a 100% great comparison, but you go after somebody like who was Mike Shula, who helped Cam Newton make the transition to the NFL. Mike Shula, you could probably pry him away. He's the offensive coordinator of South Carolina. By the way, he's been doing pretty good. You bring him in as a quarterback, special assistant to the GM, quarterback coach to help Justin Fields develop. He's really never had that opportunity.
Yeah, the only thing I would add there is if we're talking about South Carolina, they got Lenore Sellers down there, who was the recruit that jobbed Syracuse. He initially was supposed to come to Syracuse, ended up staying at South Carolina, and he's a really talented guy as well coming through. So that's a part of the equation. We'll see if he'd pry down there. Maybe sees his own version of Cam Newton in a much different way from there as well. Let's wrap up the show with one last caller here. It's Ricky New York here on the program. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, how's it going, Paul and Paul Sr.? Man, I have to completely disagree with Neil. If we draft Shedeur Sanders, it is not going to give me something to be excited about at all. It's funny because when I got home today, I turned on the computer, and naturally football stuff comes right up. And that popped on my computer this morning was a big picture of Shedeur, and it said, many coaches and GMs around the league that what Shedeur Sanders does well will not translate to the NFL. First thing I saw this morning when I came in, and I couldn't agree more. No, I mean, I don't want a quarterback at all this year. Period. If we're gonna roll with Fields for the year, let's roll with Fields for the year. If he does, turn into something, if we can develop him into something, awesome. If not, what's the worst case scenario? We got a high paid backup, and we get our guy next year, which that's been my kind of thinking all along. Like, I think we're going to win more games than a lot of people think. That being said, I don't think we're winning double-digit games. I don't think we're going to the playoffs, and I think we will easily be within trade-up range to get a guy should we so desire. And Drew Raller went back to school to perfect his craft for one more year, so he'll be ready to be a Jet next year.
Dipping our toe back in the Penn State waters. That would be one of a kind if it's going to pop up, Ricky. We'll see if that transpires. I love it. Ricky always brings good calls here. So not a Shedeur guy, so he's in line with my pop, but against Neil. Neil jumps in here with a YouTube super chat coming in.
Wow.
By the way, 3 tickets here for Neil. Appreciate it. 3 raffle tickets for our contest. He says, I will gladly pay a premium for a playoff ticket. Pop, stop calling your son cheap and step up and buy him a washer dryer. Do it for Luna. And Fields got benched for Russell Wilson by a Hall of Fame coach. Of course, Ricky. Pop, your reaction.
Yeah, sure. And our Hall of Fame quarterback, how'd that work out? But anyways, I'll talk about the cheap and washer dryer. Boyd Green has plenty of money. What he chooses to do with it is something different. Between the two of us, who do you believe owns a PS5 with a whole bunch of games? It's Boyd Green, right? So he's doing fine. It's how he chooses to allocate his funds. He is a cheap ass, right? His daughter needed a dresser. He tried to haggle somebody down for dressers. He doesn't realize how much things cost. Dressers cost hundreds of dollars brand new. He was haggling down for $30.
It was a used dresser, not brand new. Okay,
what does that look like? Have too many miles on it for you?
I was trying to get a better
moron.
I was trying to get a better price for my family. I'm not going to apologize. There's always a deal to be had. But anyway.
And what deal did you have every time you buy those tickets for a Jets game on a whim?
I have.
You don't haggle for that.
I've not bought all the. That's not something that can be haggled. I've already tried.
And you can't haggle that dresser because you still don't have one.
Well, I do. We have a dresser in the house, so we do. It's fine. We have
moron.
So, anywho, appreciate that, Neil. But we'll see what transpires from that perspective on that. And again, I think as Mike Tomlin, I think, is a wonderful coach. I think he clearly made a mistake going to Justin Fields. Obviously, he got an initial dopamine rush. Russell Wilson got them to his 10-3 record, but it ended just how everyone thought it would, with all of it just folding like a used lawn chair from that perspective. So maybe should have stuck with Justin Fields. And of course, Justin Fields told the Steelers to pack it. Hey, do you want to come back? No, I'm going to a new team. Of course he did. That makes a lot of sense. All right, Pop. Well, that's going to wrap it up for Boyd Green Daily. I see that the French toast light is on.
That's right.
Okay, French toast, egg, and sausage light is on. So we're going to be dipping to go enjoy breakfast. But again, we will be back. Boyd Green Meets Woody is live at 3 o'clock, everybody. Hope you can tune back in. That 3 o'clock show will be your last chance outside of using PayPal or Venmo. And if you do send money via PayPal or Venmo, just say it's for the draft contest. And it's for I'm Neil or I'm Hep or whoever you are. I don't know if your PayPal name will be the same as your YouTube name. So just make sure you clarify in that group if you're going to send in the raffle ticket. So make sure you do that. Again, you'll have another live opportunity coming up on Boyd Green Meets Woody at 3 o'clock.
live.
And that video is already live on the YouTube channel. So you guys can actually go to that right now and do your super chats and membership gifting on that video. Just find it. It is for today live at 3 o'clock, talking about all the players the Jets have visited with. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Pop?
Get your raffle tickets. Get your Boy Green Hop on Pop gear. Let's go.
All the merch in the YouTube description down below. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. And another big shout out to Nick Baumgardner from The Athletic for taking the time to join us today. We'll see you again at 3 o'clock, everybody. Take care.